For people maybe that they're kind of part of the dominant group, yeah, how do you think they could help their colleagues who might be tokenized, like at their workplace?
I think that I've had colleagues who have understood like they recognized what I was going through. They were hoping that I could basically school them on how to recognize racism or tokenism or what have you. And I was pretty upset with that. They didn't realize the emotional labor that they were putting on me and the pressure. I feel that these days I have colleagues who actually recognize that. They are trying to actually educate themselves and get themselves to a certain point where they can speak to me about these issues on a level where I don't have to be doing more work. But there are definitely instances where I have had to say, that's not my job to do that for you. And when I have colleagues that don't react badly to me saying that, even when I'm not so gentle about it, I think that's a change. And that's where I would appreciate that understanding. I think that there has to be learning all around, and that is not just reliant on people who you think represent or some sort of like expertise in a culture. I think that there is more of an awakening, I would say, right now, that people do have to be more responsible with their privilege.
I guess to summarize, try to do your own research and then also to kind of have grace for people when they don't have the capacity to explain it to you.
Yeah, exactly. But it's recognize your own stuff and also don't impose on others.
Yeah, it is hard. I think it is hard to kind of like see your own privilege. It's like you don't have a frame of reference for it, so it's really hard to see. Um, but yeah, hopefully at least taking some steps forward and making mistakes and like at least trying is somewhere to start, right?
I think the idea of making a mistake is an okay thing, and accepting the fact that that is what's going to happen rather than being afraid that you're going to make a mistake and then be branded with that mistake and to forever try and avoid it. It leads to being paralyzed instead of like taking action forward. So I really do see that as being one of the ways in which you can become a very active, effective co-conspirator, rather than somebody who just doesn't act on much of anything and is silent unless they're thinking really hard and maybe just trying to drum up some motivation or some courage and confidence to actually get to a certain place where they can indeed be some sort of vehicle for folks who are more marginalized.
So keep trying, right? If you make a mistake, like you can take a step back and then get back onto it. And if you make a mistake, at least then you do kind of have somewhat of a frame of reference to work with then. People might get mad, but that's part of moving forward too, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, I feel like it's just like being strategic and being better. And I think that's what some of the time, whether it's an organization or it's an individual, just trying to figure out what to do next. I know that I've heard a lot of people like, oh, what do I do? Right. And it is trying to actually be better, be beyond what you've already done. And I do know that there's still some room for healthy looks back over the shoulder to see what's happened in the past. Because if we lose sight of what has happened in the past, that's where I think all of us kind of get into trouble.
So learn from your mistakes in the past and try to keep kind of pushing your boundary and doing a little bit more than you did before, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever that might be.